This is Bruce Hamilton, and when I'm not educating my opponents with lessons in pain, I'm right here listening to the Sit Down Marks podcast.
Hey, yo.
If I can be serious for a minute.
Oh, yeah. Acknowledge me.
What's happening? What's happening? Come on in. Sit down, everybody. Episode number 100. Are we good again?
Yeah.
All right. Episode number 172 of the Sit Down Mars podcast. Had a little audio glitch.
Had to turn yourself down your ears real quick.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like old school times, right? I want to thank everyone watching on YouTube and Facebook right now and everybody listening on all those podcast platforms out there. It's time for another podcast of the flagship of the Sit Down Mars podcast. Today, we're going to be talking WWE Wrestle Palooza. We're going to be talking some AEW All Out. And then Dylan's and I are going to be running through a little list of who are some of the top unsigned women on the indies that we need to be talking about. So we'll be talking about that here shortly. So first of all, let me introduce you to my marks here on the podcast. What's going on, boys? How we feeling today?
Howdy. Welcome back. I can't believe that we're already at 172, but at this point, we're on the countdown to 200.
Yeah, we absolutely are. So in case you didn't know, that was Primo, the host from the East Coast, that loves his French toast that he's been going about here lately. So, and if you've been to a recent independent wrestling show anywhere around the Midwest, you've probably ran into this guy somewhere along the way. He's green hat guy, but around here we call him Dylan. What's going on, boy? Because he's a celebrity out in the real world, but here he's just on the podcast. What's going on, buddy?
Here I'm just Dylan. I'm nobody special. It's just Dylan. We're good. Another Monday night with the Marks. Another Monday night with that Marks Mafia. Thank everybody for tuning in.
We're blessed with your presence.
Yeah. Well, we'll go with something like that.
And the same still goes, ladies.
Hello, lady.
You already know.
He's definitely still single. So just if you need a little update, that's where we're at the moment. So so we had a big wrestling weekend, boys. Dylan got to go back to another show. He hadn't been to one in about a month. Right? Was that right, Dylan?
Yeah. It'd been about 3 or 4 weeks. But back at Glory Pro yesterday. Felt good to get back out there. I like college football is great. I love it, but you got to get out, got to get back to the wrestling every now and then.
Definitely do. And we had some AEW, we had some WWE, so a lot was going on top of other things going on this weekend. So all right, Primo, if you're ready, man, it's hot start time, man. Let's jump into it. 5 topics in the world of pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's talk about it right off the bat, man. Because we kind of talked about it, through text. So, we have to talk about out here on the podcast. Dominic Mysterio. He's the new AAA Mega Champion that he won by beating Vikingo back at Worlds Collide, which seemed like a long time ago, but We were talking about how cool it had to be for Ray, how cool it had to be
Absolutely.
for him to be, holding that prestigious Mexican title, right?
Cool match. Overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that whole event. But that main event specifically we're talking about, Dom winning, I was hoping it was going to happen, and I was very excited that Dom came in on top and now is a double champ with the AAA Mega Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. And the icing on the cake was he had to get his deadbeat dad
Deadbeat,
put
yeah,
the title around his waist. But as he's doing that, Ray plays a real good victim kind of I don't know, not hesitant to do stuff, for the bad guy. But you gotta know deep down he is so proud. And then of course we had Judgment Day interference with JD and Finn and El Grande Americano.
The story continues.
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
a little maybe a little mix up there. JD and Finn are like, hey, what the hell's going on over here? But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, agreed. I love that Dom's a double champ. I'm enjoying how WWE is using AAA to where it's kind of all integrated, and it is both its own separate world, but it's also not. They didn't just bring them in and beat everybody the way they did WCW, or they didn't make it like a regular weekly TV show where we got Raw and NXT and AAA. I like how they're doing that. I really like all the Judgment Day stuff, like how they, like what Primo was just talking about, how they're involved in that main event. I'm really excited to see what happens when Liv comes back and how all that Judgment Day stuff plays out. And I'm really excited for Chad Gable to come back and see how he interacts with El Grande Americano. And there's a lot of interesting stuff. Interesting possibilities.
That can unfold.
I want to know what's going to happen. Yeah.
Even El Grande Americano even has his little pequeño Americanos now. So
yeah,
right. Yeah. So it's, I just thought that was interesting, man, for sure to see how that all keeps. What's going on with my audio? Did it go down again?
Yes, but you're good. We can still hear you.
Okay.
We can still hear you. It's just muffled.
Okay, we'll just change it in my ear.
There you go.
How about now?
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
We're live, pal.
Yeah, we're live, pal. So let's get back to it. All right, let's change up. All right, so topic number 2, boys. So, a lot of us, including myself, I have ESPN Plus. I've had it since day one. I have the Hulu, Disney, ESPN bundle, and so people like myself, went to go log on, to hook everything up. You sign in through your TV provider, YouTube TV, was what I got, and found out that it wasn't enough, that you had to sign up for this ESPN Unlimited to watch the new ESPN content, the PLEs that are going to be on there. So, I instantly went online to see what a lot of people were saying. A lot of people were ticked off about it. Obviously, some went ahead and paid the money because it was Cena. Some decided to not pay for it,
Dang.
so and not watch it, and stand on that hill. I myself, I watched it, basically on a pirate the next day, because from now on, if they're going to be $29.99, just like AEW, I'm going to be picking and choosing which ones I'm going to watch if I'm going to pay that money, because I'm not going to pay it every month, because when we'll talk about the show later, but that show wasn't worth $29.99 to me.
Yeah.
After watching it, so so I'm gonna stand on that hill. That I'll just I'll get Rumble, I'll get Mania, but outside of that, nothing else. They'll have to entice me by the cards. But it's like we went back to the old days.
Yeah, it's odd because like you said, I didn't even think about it till you just said it that people paid $29 extra on top of everything else just to watch what we saw.
Yeah.
Imagine if you paid that much money. I don't care what people say. $29 is a lot of money to some people, and if you played that looking to see a 30-minute John Cena match and you didn't get that, I'd be kind of pissed. But I will say, I mean, I was in the UK over the weekend, so that's where, as you see at the bottom there, it says Netflix internationally. So I was in the UK. That's how I was able to watch it, and yeah, it worked out really well for me. I'll have to go to the UK like probably once a month now, I guess.
How was your
Racking up
view
all
on the
those miles?
Dylan? Did you watch it?
Yeah,
Did you pay the money?
I did end up paying the money because I could bundle this ESPN program, not the one you're paying for, DB, but this one.
Sure. Yeah.
Because how many different ESPN subscriptions do we need now?
So confusing.
Yeah, I
Right,
could bundle this one with Disney and Hulu, which I was not subscribing to. So I broke it down like, okay, that's 10 each a month, which helped me feel better about it.
Right.
Even though it's still the same price.
Boom delay
And I probably won't watch a whole lot. I probably won't watch a whole lot on. Yes, exactly. Probably won't watch a whole lot on Hulu or Disney, but like the thing is, like on paper, the card was really good.
Right.
Like, hey, this is the first pay-per-view on ESPN. We got the Usos back together. AJ Lee is back. She's teaming with Punk. We got Seth and Becky. John Cena's back. Brock Lesnar. John Cena's finishing up. Brock is back. Like on paper, it was a really good card. And I know we're not talking about the show completely yet, but like I didn't hate it, but I wasn't really moved by it either. But what I can say, like, we are the quote unquote like smart fans analyzing everything.
Right.
Right. Like I had ESPN on Friday night and all day Saturday, and they're just constantly hammering, hey, Wrestle Palooza on the all new ESPN app tonight, Cena versus Brock. And like on College Game Day, they picked the Cena Brock match. You had Nick Saban doing the "You Can't See Me." Like, it was on, the lower third. Like they were constantly pushing Cena and Brock. Yeah. So I was like, okay, yeah, all of us wrestling fans aren't like loving the Cena Brock match, but that was something easy for them to promote to casuals. But now on the flip side, are the casuals like downloading a special app to watch a wrestling show if they're not already, especially for $30? Like, like it's going to be the hardcore fans going the extra mile and paying the extra money to watch the wrestling show. Like I don't know. I was, before I even got to the show itself, just the promotion building up to it, I was very torn. I was like, I see what they're going for, but who's tuning in if you're not watching wrestling on the regular? Are you really tuning in to go like, oh, hey, there's this all new ESPN app where it's not just on TV where I can just like, scroll through it. I have to go specifically to the app to watch it. But, I don't know. I'm like 50-50 on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? So, I mean, if this is where we're back to it, like, and so I was just, I like I said, I have HBO Max, which gives me access to AEW now. And, theirs were still, theirs were $39.99.
Yeah.
So, but you're still paying, 10, I don't know. I think our HBO Max, we pay the one without ads. It's closer to $20 a month.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the, it's one of the higher ones. So anyway, but I'm like, that sucks, but we get our Hulu and Disney Plus and all that stuff through Verizon,
So do I. Yeah.
Phone. So I was like, man, hoping that like maybe there would be some sort of connection deal, there along the way. And maybe there is in the future. I don't know, but for now I'll just be picking them, pot shotting, watching highlights, or watching some sort of illegal stream. So just is what it is now. See, it just seems like we're regressing in that era. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. It's just putting that big of a paywall in front of these things is
Right.
wild. Like you were saying, Dylan, all the ESPN broadcasters and stuff, all doing the ad reads and all that stuff. It's like, so these people don't watch wrestling. The people that are
Right, exactly.
that are
Yeah.
advertising for this. So I've heard, not necessarily this weekend because I wasn't paying that close attention, but in the past, I have heard like a commentator during a football game do a quick ad read, and they got the names like way off. I'm just like, these guys don't even watch the product, so it's gonna be cringy every time they have to do an ad read.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know.
That happened a lot on Fox when SmackDown was still on Fox. You know, they'd be promoting it on the football games or what have you. They'd be saying the wrong names. Like Joe Test, you know, does the he's on Raw, I think, Raw commentary.
Yeah.
And he does one of the ABC games. Like, he knew his stuff, obviously, but everybody else, it's like, oh yeah, John Cena and Brock Lesnar tonight. Who do you got, John? You know, like, oh, I'm going with Brock for sure. Like, you can tell, you know, they could not care less. But at the same time, just like the fact that that's coming up in, you know, some random Oklahoma Auburn game, like, that part's kind of cool. But like, you know, that's what like I see both sides of it.
Yeah. So, do you think, because that's another thing that they're kind of, WWE's kind of, I talking about too. I watched a lot of, you know, behind the scenes stuff this weekend, or the pre-show stuff, and ESPN has always felt like ESPN is kind of where they have real sports, baseball, you know, Sports Center's on ESPN, you know, you got baseball, college football, all that stuff. Are they gonna kind of include WWE as a real sport into that?
WWE is not even considering themselves a.
That's what I'm saying. So, like,
you know,
yeah. Do the people like in all these other shows, like First Take and all that shit? They're just like, what is even going on?
Right. They were sitting with Greeny in the mornings talking about the Monday Night Raw,
right?
Main event or something. Yeah. I don't know. These is wait and see at this point, but I would put it past anything. Like, they already got these sports reporters, you know, uncomfortably reading these, you know, talking about these match cards and stuff. So I mean, why wouldn't they make them do something else? So, oh man. Anyway, let's move on. All right. Topic number 3. I got to get your opinion on WrestleMania being announced in Saudi Arabia in 2027. It's a little un-American, you know, if you ask me, but because it's kind of like our thing for over here. But, you know, I guess at some point had to go international. And
yeah, you'd think we go to the UK first, but I don't know.
Right, like Wembley or something. Yeah, right.
So personally, not a fan. Clearly, but this dude, the dude that's the sport and event coordinator for the Riyadh season stuff, he was there at the Canelo fight. He's doing a lot of stuff. He was there with Triple H at the announcement of this. Like, his dude has got his hands in so many things right now. Right. He's trying to make Riyadh like a sport capital.
Yeah, he's all over everything. You see him everywhere right now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. I already got my front row tickets. It's going to be me and Turkey and Dana White, front row center hard cam, and that green shirt guy. It's going to be green shirt guy and green hat guy with Turkey and Dana. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. No, I'm like everybody else. Of course, I don't love it. If they're getting paid, you know, $800 billion or whatever they're getting paid, like, okay, fine. Are we going to have to watch like a Rock Stone Cold match, you know, at WrestleMania? Like, what's happening here? I guess it'll be on, you know, like the other Saudi shows. It'll be on like middle of the afternoon.
That's the only.
That's going to feel weird. Like, I don't know. I don't love it. I'm excited to see what happens, like, with WrestleCon and like the other normal Mania weekend stuff. Like, do they do their own, like, that weekend? Do we just pick a random city and like have our own like Mania weekend,
Yeah.
or will they like pick a different show, an AEW show, or like SummerSlam or something, and piggyback off of that? So that's what I'm interested to see.
I bet they would maybe like piggyback off like a big GCW show somewhere as like the grand finale, and then leading up to that would be like Indie Mania, you know, in some town or whatever, some big field, you know, whatever. So
if the WrestleMania, so the prices were released today for WrestleMania 42 in Vegas. I know before we had talked about that package being $10,000. Well, the floor seat A1 on the floor is $9,000 for 2-day tickets.
Gosh, dang.
So you imagine that's Vegas.
Yeah.
In Saudi Arabia, well, I don't think many Americans are going to be there that aren't super rich.
No, we got to pay for ESPN to watch the pay-per-views. We can't afford to go to Saudi.
I'll be in UK that weekend.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I think would be cool about it is, you know, the main event of WrestleMania come on at like 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So both days, and I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. All right, next up, boys. Topic number 4. Let's talk about some of the wrestling that happened over the weekend. Let's start with the one that came on during the day. AEW All Out in Toronto. The return home of Christian and Edge, Copeland, whatever you want to call him. Which to me I thought was, out of the two, the better show. Honestly. It was long again, as usual, but right now I'm kind of appreciating it because, you know, you're getting that money's worth, you know, now. Like,
for sure.
If I'm gonna shell up $40, I don't mind watching a little 4-hour, 5-hour, wrestling show.
They're definitely earning your money for sure.
Yeah. The main event really stuck out to me because, you know, I'm loving Hangman. I was thanking God that they didn't decide to go ahead and put the title on Kyle here. This was good stuff. That was kind of a highlight for me. I love seeing Takeshita and Okada battle each other. That was an awesome triple threat match there. I was kind of hoping FTR would go over Christian and Cope, if I'm being honest. Like, really, you know what I mean? Like, I was, you know, just really kind of like set some feet, you know, set some claws in deep on this, this rivalry. You know?
I mean, they kind of did, but
Yeah.
I liked having Eddie back. Eddie back was cool.
Yes.
I did not like, and I'm not saying she didn't deserve the rub, but I didn't like Chris Statlander winning the title. I just feel like, compared to like what Tony's did with the belt, what's she gonna do next? You know what I mean? With like, I mean, out of us three, Dylan, you're probably more of an AEW guy, but like, was Chris like the big babyface push right now? Because I mean, I know the crowd loves her, but I think that's just kind of the way it always is. But
I was happily surprised to see Chris win. Mm-hmm. Like, I figured Tony would retain almost just kind of like by default. Like, oh yeah, they're not taking the belt off of her. But if somebody did win, I kind of thought it would be Hayter, playing off like their history. So I did not see Stat winning at all, but I was pleasantly surprised. Been a Statlander fan for quite a while now. It's one of those things, and you know, I have absolutely zero experience booking a show, so what the heck do I know? Sure. But like, you don't want to like let the champion like go stale. So maybe taking the belt off of Tony while she's still hot, like they can still do something with her instead of all of us being like we were as Moxley and being like, you know, somebody please take the title off of him. You know, right. So like that's the only thing I can think of. And you know, there's that old like, oh, they don't really need the title. Like, you know, sure. Tony's gonna be fine.
Oh yeah,
with or without it. I don't want. I'm afraid this is where we're going. I don't want Chris to like join the Death Riders now or get wrapped up in a storyline with that. Like, I don't want to take the title off of Tony and have that be involved with the Death Riders and Yuta and Chris and like have Willow involved or whatever. That's the route I don't want him to go. But yeah, I enjoyed the match more than I thought I would. Happy to see Chris win. Like DB said, the opening match, Cage and Cope versus FTR, I really enjoyed it. Even though they had mentioned her name a couple times, I was shocked to see Beth show up.
Yeah.
That was a cool surprise. I'm really hoping we get like a Cope and Cage and Beth versus FTR and Stokely match at some point. If they wanted to do that in St. Louis, I wouldn't be disappointed.
Right.
Yeah, the Briscoe MJF match. I was surprised to see Briscoe win, but happy they went that way. Like, that made sense storyline wise, but I just kind of assumed like, oh, it's MJF, so he'll get to win or whatever.
Yeah.
And the other one you mentioned, the triple threat, the Okada to catch the Mascara Dorada, I think I'm saying that right, match. Like, on one hand, it's like, how could that be bad? But on the other, I was kind of like, okay, we know how Okada and Takeshita mesh. How is throwing this like lucha legend? How is he going to mix with the Japanese guys? Not thinking about like, oh, these are three of the best guys in the world. Like, of course they're going to mesh well, and they absolutely killed it. Great match, and like again, you mentioned Eddie. I didn't realize how much I missed Eddie Kingston until I saw him back on the screen. I was like, okay, Here we go. Eddie's back, and one that's not worth like going deep in, but on the pre-show, Daniel Garcia and Shibata. I really enjoyed that match. Just a quick pre-show match. The pre-show was on TBS or TNT 1 instead of YouTube this time, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good. Good show. I've had to like break this one up and watch it in spurts.
Sure.
So instead of it being like a 10-hour sit down, I've broken it up, and I think I've enjoyed it a lot more watching an hour here and an hour there, and fast forwarding through these packages, and like it's been a more enjoyable 8 hours instead of 10 for me. So.
Right. And we had two returns too. Pat came back.
Pat came back.
And
Luchasaurus came back.
Yeah.
And Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all back. Yeah. I enjoyed this. I thought it was good.
I like how Briscoe covered the ring and the tax as to begin the match. That was wild. Tables and tax match is pretty unique. I hadn't seen that before myself.
Right.
The coffin match was as brutal as you would think. Yeah. I also enjoyed Eddie Kingston coming back. Of course, I liked ENC or CNC as they're calling themselves nowadays. Cage and Copeland. Seeing Beth was definitely not something I thought. I mean, it is what it is, but now it's like it's an easy way to go into the next level of rivalry with Edge is to mess with his wife. Like, I mean, so I'm pretty sure they did the same thing in WWE. But anyway, I overall I thought this was a good show altogether. You're right, it was quite long. Again, I believe it was like into the second match of the other show.
Right. Yeah.
We're still going. So, yeah, no, I thought it was good overall.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. So, before we leave AEW, let's look real quick what they got left the rest of the year. We just seen Forbidden Door in August, and we just had All Out. Next show will be Wrestle Dream, St. Louis, October 11th. Dylan's actually going to be there, which is going to be
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I've not bought a ticket yet. I'm kind of waiting to see what the card looks like.
Sure.
And a week prior it'll be Dreamwave. That'd be, money spent there.
Yeah.
I'm having to pay for ESPN now. So, I'm kind of waiting to see. But I have a feeling once they start announcing matches, I'll kind of be in that like, well, I can't miss this, and end up buying a ticket. I'm probably the easiest person to sell a wrestling ticket to. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then Full Gear in November, and then end of the year, World's End. It says Chicago, but it's actually in Hoffman Estates, which is like West Chicago, so it's not actually in Chicago. So I'm kind of leaving that open to see how that one kind of shapes up. I'd kind of like to maybe scoot out to that one during the Christmas holiday. So that'd be pretty nice. So, all right, let's move on. Next up was Saturday night's Wrestle Palooza from Indianapolis, Indiana. Let's jump right into this, man. Like I said, I didn't really enjoy this card that much. I think the show was a couple days ago, but I think Cena's still getting up from another F5 during this, which is I think kind of soured people right off the bat because that led off the show. Brock basically just F5 the crap out of Cena. Vakir and Sky hands down stole the show. Don't they need to steal it? Just they had a great wrestling match and it made sense and it worked and they ended up being the best one. But I didn't I knew they weren't gonna let AJ lose in this, so I kind of definitely thought him and Punk was winning. I was kind of wanting to see a little bit more with Drew, but I think maybe what this pay-per-view needed,
Acknowledge me.
and we would have been on board if that had involved him somehow, something big. That's what I was waiting on. That Triple H was saying surprise. So, but what'd you guys like? What you didn't like?
What did I like? I like Stephanie and EO. I liked CM Punk's jacket that said AJ's husband.
Right.
I enjoyed seeing the Usos together. Although they didn't look as fluid as they normally would. Also, I think that match kind of seemed to end abruptly because Jay was gushing blood.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, obviously I didn't like,
and it was kind of sneaky too. Like you didn't see it get hard.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't enjoy seeing. I mean, I don't really care that he lost, but the match was like, I don't even know. It wasn't very long, and I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like you gotta. He's only got 5 more dates. I don't even know anymore, but 5 or 6 more dates. I feel like
5.
You gotta capitalize with each time he's on the screen with the best situation you can give us, and I feel like that wasn't the best situation you could give us.
Just shot me.
What's that?
Right. This shot me because being the first one. I said this shot me being. You lost me?
No, we got you.
You're back. You
got me? Oh, okay. I was saying this too. This was like the debut on ESPN, so I really thought that, this was going to be a big, time for new people, new eyes, new sports people watching, and then Cena just, gets treated like that. So I was kind of like, I don't know,
Yeah, and then I kind of wanted Drew to win, but Drew did not win. So there's that.
Yeah, and that Cena Brock match,
Right.
We've seen it before. Like, SummerSlam 10 years ago or whatever. Like, we've seen Brock come in and just destroy Cena. That wasn't anything new. I did love that Paul Heyman did the introductions for Brock. I like that card is being played. I'm interested to see where that goes. Maybe a War Games match at Survivor Series. All of Heyman's guys against like a super Cena team, Cena and Punk and Roman and what have you. Like Primo was saying, he's down to like I think 5 dates maybe, and his next one's not until the Australia pay-per-view. So like part of me was worried Brock was just going to take him out if he's not going to be on TV to build to something new. Does keep this going. But outside of that, I was okay with pretty much everything. I did really enjoy the mixed tag. I think the 4 of them play off each other really well. Like you guys said, I was hoping Drew would win. Stephanie and Io tore it down like you knew they would. Yeah, and that other tag match, I think they were trying to do too much. Like, hey, we got the Usos back, but also LA Knight is now the referee out of nowhere, and Jimmy and Jay kind of get along and kind of don't, and they kind of get along with LA Knight and they kind of don't, and I think they were just trying to fit too much in there. But I didn't dislike the show, but I didn't necessarily love it. I didn't necessarily like it either. So very much in the middle for me.
Usos being back. I don't know what they're going to do with that storyline. I don't feel like this is like some big big reunion. It hasn't felt like very warm. It just feels like it's still kind of on edge. So we can still see one of them go kind of like one way or the other. But yeah, I thought it was okay. I mean, everybody's all up in arms too about the ESPN writers that reviewed it, and they said, they thought it was pretty average too.
And those are people that don't even watch wrestling.
So I guess we're about...
And I watched obviously wrestling, and I probably would have gave it a C- myself.
Yeah, I like that. I like that they weren't like, oh hey, now that it's on ESPN, Cena and Brock was wonderful, and the mix tag was incredible, and you got to go watch Cody, and this was an A+ pay-per-view. I like that the guy, I wish I remembered his name, I'd give him credit, was just kind of like, yeah, it was average. We were expecting incredible on the debut show, and it was average.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's Smelly Market, boys. Before we move on here, what'd you think AEW? What would you give them on All Out? I would probably stick with about, probably about a 7.5.
I could go with I can agree with a 7.5 on AEW.
AEW, I'll go a little bit higher. I'll go like an A. I'm kind of comparing them in my head. I'm trying to figure out which number I want to give a WWE one. Also, the AEW, I'll go like at an 8.5, and I'll go ahead and do a WWE one. Also, I'll put that one at like a 6.5, probably.
Yeah. I'll give I'll give Wrestle
Palooza
a 5.5.
Wrestle Palooza.
Wrestle Palooza.
Love it. All right, one more thing, boys, before we head on out of here and talk about top unsigned wrestling women. Not long ago, earlier today, one more time. For all the old schoolers would know about that one. So
Mickey James.
Earlier today, Mickey James, we were told is going to be inducted to TNA Knockouts Hall of Fame. So that's going to be pretty awesome coming up in October. Looking forward to that. So we had to definitely recognize that for her. She's been talked about so much on this podcast.
Absolutely. She's definitely been a centerpiece of the podcast since the early days. Anytime we said Mickey James, we had to hit that button. So glad to see that for her and couldn't be happier for her.
Yeah, I agree. We saw her at the St. Louis Rumble when all of us were together, and she was still the TNA Knockouts champ. Yep. And that was like one of the first forbidden door, quote unquote. Yeah. Oh my gosh, can you believe this? And I was thinking about it today, and obviously, of course, the Knockouts division, by the time she showed up, it had been established. You had Gail Kim, you had Awesome Kong, you had the Beautiful People, but she was if I'm remembering it correctly, and we're thinking back several years now, so I could be wrong. She was the first still big name to come over from WWE to TNA as far as the females went. Gail had been over there, but Mickey was on a much higher level of WWE than Gail was. She was one of the first in that realm. Obviously, they had the Angle and the Christian and everybody else, but from the females, and she had a couple stints, multiple runs with the title. they're kind of getting to the point. I couldn't even tell you who all is in the Hall of Fame, but they're getting to a point where like which TNA people can they induct that like, you know, aren't under contract elsewhere, you know, like who they could actually bring in. And I well deserved. Love to see it.
This sucks. All right, that's gonna do it for the hot start, boys. It's time to move on. But before we do, let's hear a word from referee Dan Perch.
Yeah, Dan. Say something.
This is referee Dan Perch, and come celebrate pro wrestling right here on the Sit Down Marks podcast.
Damn, Marcus.
All right, so on this edition of the Dropkick Discussion, we're going to be talking just a short little list about the top unsigned women's wrestlers in on the independents right now, and you know, these are people you may not know about. Some of you may know about. Some are trying to get some tryouts with some companies. You know, some are, you know, still out there just, you know, basically just trying to grind it out and get noticed. And, you know, so, you know, Dylan and I, you know, pretty good on the independent scene. So we thought we'd maybe put like a list together. Dylan more than myself really put a nice list together of some, you know, top unsigned women's wrestlers that you might need to go check out and look up before they get swooped up sometime in the next couple years. So, all right, who you got, Dylan?
Yeah, so just to start, I'm going to throw this out again, just like to cover my ass caveats. Here's how I made my list so people aren't yelling at me. We're talking unsigned, of course, so nobody from WWE or TNA or AEW. And on mine, I left off people that like have been with those companies. So like Shotzi's killing it right now, but I left her off the list. People like Priscilla Kelly or I'm blanking on names now. But you know, anybody that has been with WWE and has been let go, I left them off just to focus on like the people that have been on the indies. And again, same as we did the last pod with the up and coming talent. This is no particular order, just how I made my list. But I'll start with Lainey Luck. I've been singing her praises for quite a while now. You see her a lot at Glory Pro, at St. Louis Anarchy. She's a staple in freelance. She's been getting up to Canada and working for Alpha One up there quite a bit. She's the current and first ever women's World Crown champ at Glory Pro. It's their women's title. She won Anarchy's Tammy Jovi Memorial Cup last month. She has held the freelance tag titles with GPA. And just a couple matches, if you want to go look them up. Some of the best matches I have seen in person have been Lainey Luck matches. Lainey and Gary J at Anarchy. Lainey and Luke Langley at Anarchy. The battle of the double L's in that one. Just this year, Lainey and Billy at Anarchy had a 20-minute Broadway insane match of the year contender. And just a couple months ago, Lainey and Maggie Lee for that women's World Crown at Glory Pro. All matches, if you've not watched them, look them up. YouTube, IWTV, either one of those places. Next up on my list, I had Hyon. I believe that's how you say it. I should know that by now. Texas-based. Yeah. I always forget if it's high on or high end. Yeah, so apologies. We're going to go with high on. Texas-based, a lot for New Texas Pro, Deadlock Pro, First Wrestling up in Minnesota. We see her at Uprising and Dreamwave. She's done a lot for Booker T's Reality of Wrestling. She's traveled internationally, done a lot in like Japan and the UK. She has held, among others, of course, the New Texas Pro Women's title, multiple titles in a Reality of Wrestling. She was the 2024 Queen of the Indies, big tournament they do out on the West Coast. She won that in 24. Some notable matches I had with her. Just pick one from her feud with Danny Luna in a Deadlock Pro. If you haven't watched any of those, they are must see. They had a dog collar chain match that was incredible. One of the first matches of hers that really grabbed my attention was when I started watching New Texas Pro. Her and Rachel Rose had a no holds barred match that I loved, and I was like, okay, I got to keep checking out New Texas Pro if this is what they're putting out. I'll go down to my next one, and I'll throw it over to UDB. That next name I had to throw that international pop star Becca on the list. Charisma, through the roof. She's an international pop star on top of being a world-class pro wrestler. We see her all the time at Dreamwave and Uprising. The last Dreamwave outdoor show, Summer Spectacular, she showed up right off of her tour bus. Works a lot up at Beyond and Limitless and Blitzkrieg, all up there in the Northeast. She a couple matches for her. She teamed with Aaron Warwick, some WWID talent, Aaron Warwick. They had a match at Beyond a couple years ago against Miracle Generation that may have been indie wrestling match of the year that year. Just incredible stuff. Her and Billy Starks at ETU. Mentioned Gary J again. She and Gary toured up at Limitless, and just what was that last Uprising show? Her and Megan Bain, stole the show. Absolutely tore it down there. So I've got more, but I'll go ahead and throw it over to you, DB. You can name off a couple of yours.
Yeah, so a lot of times when I'm watching up and coming wrestlers, I kind of basically base it on a few things. If you have a different look, if you have a different character, maybe we've never seen before, that always catches my attention. If you're really good in the ring, that always catches my attention. If you're really good on the mic, that always catches my attention. Not saying that everybody on this list, has that, all of these. I mean, that's kind of the full package, right? But, a few that I've, watched lately that I've really like seeing matches of. And these are in no particular order. I'm a big fan of Gabby Forza. I see her a lot in Limitless Wrestling, see her a lot in Dreamwave. She has a different look. She has a different outfit that she wears, a fun little gimmick, but also a serious ass kicker, once she, laces up and lets them go in the ring, you know what I mean? And, she's just tough, man. You know what I mean? She broke her nose one time at Dreamwave. Yeah. I've seen her lately where she's got one of her front teeth knocked out and she's just sporting it, you know what I mean? Going with it, you know what I mean? Just don't get much tougher than that, and I could really tell that she wants it. So she's got my attention, watching a lot of her. I like watching Viva Van. I think she's smooth in the ring. I think she's got a different look. She's been all over, a bunch of different places, geographic wise. Vert Vixen, I think she just got me and Dylan were talking about, I think she just got a WWE tryout, not, I think she was maybe in that last batch of crop, that they brought in. So, hopefully she did really well on that one. So, or doing that tryout. And a couple more, that I want to just, kind of throw out there and I'll give it back to you, is because, two people that I see work a lot that, especially this one I'm going to talk about first, is because, it's kind of surprised she ain't got a contract anywhere just because she can go so good, you know what I mean? And she's big prominent in the women's division in the Midwest area, but we seem to talk about and see her wrestle a lot as Sierra, and she just she's getting picked up by a couple more places that she hasn't been to, here lately. So I like watching her. I've gotten into RJS matches. Rebecca J. Scott, she's the alternative women's alternative champion right now in Dreamwave. Is she the biggest we've ever seen? Absolutely not. Is she the smallest we've ever seen? No. You know what I mean? But she does a lot of things really well, and I think she does a lot of kind of hiding her MMA skills in her wrestling that we don't really see a lot, but she uses that kind of to her favor, and and a lot of the matches, it's David versus Goliath with her. You know what I mean? Like usually somebody's in there that's way bigger than her, and it's usually and like holds her own. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So she's another one just kind of grinding it out. So there'll be other ones that'll come through and pop through. But like I said, we've been talking about these, and these are ones that that hadn't been getting the looks yet, but should probably be getting some looks here pretty soon. So
Yeah.
All right, Dylan, who you got to finish up the list?
Yeah. Let's go out west. Johnny Robbie is one. I'm begging somebody to bring her over here to the Midwest. She's the current West Coast Pro champ. She has worked a lot at West Coast Pro, a bunch of different places out on the West Coast. She's also worked for CMLL down in Mexico. And she's done a lot for the New Japan strong tapings that New Japan does here in the U.S. She had a killer match to win the title with Zara Zacher, the West Coast title. Had a killer match with Masha, which, I mean, if you're not killing it with Masha, like, what are you doing? Another one we have to mention, the center of attention, the franchise play, Brittany Brooks. I don't understand how she wasn't already WWE ID'd, but oh well. Better for us. We could see her on the Indies a little bit longer. First ever Dreamwave Women's Champ. She's based on the West Coast, but has seemed to be traveling this direction a lot more. I've seen her at Hooligan. Shout out, John. Seen her at Hooligan down in Evansville. She's been up in Chicago for like Second Wrestling, obviously Dreamwave and Uprising. That took my attention away there. My bad. Matches, her and Zeta, that first ever women's title at Dreamwave. The build to it was incredible, and they absolutely delivered. And you have to mention her feud with Maggie. Just pick a match between Brittany and Maggie. They've all been great. Winning the first ever Uprising Goodness Gold Rumble. Dreamwave's given her the ball, and she has just completely ran with it. Have to believe she'll be signed in no time. A couple other names I had. You talked about Sierra. You talked about Gabby. They were both on my list. Shout out Sierra. Debuted for Glory Pro yesterday. Made a statement win there. She'll be in title contention. I already mentioned her talking about Hion, but I had her on my list separate. Rachel Rose. Rachel might be like one of the most underrated talents on the Indies. Does a lot of work in Texas, but don't see her a whole lot outside of Texas. She worked for New Texas, Inspire Pro, Uncanny. She's done some stuff with DPW. A two-time New Texas Pro Women's Champ, has held their tag titles. I mentioned the No Holds Barred match with Hion. She had a killer match with Kylie Ray at New Texas. A match I just watched a week or two ago from New Texas Pros, like last big show. How often do we talk about 3-on-1 handicap matches? Like almost never. They happen, whatever. They just move on. But it was a guy named Brick Savage going up against Rachel Shimbashi and Dmitry Alexandrov. And they just told an incredible story. That match is on IWTV. Like I said, how often are we talking about a 3-on-1 handicap match? Like, go look that up. And then finishing up here, had a couple vets I wanted to mention as well, not just all focus on like the up-and-coming younger talent. Had to mention Missa Kate, again, Midwest staple, all over Chicago, CSW. We've had her at Uprising and Dreamwave, and she does a lot for like Pro Wrestling Epic. Former NWA tag champs with Maddie Rinkowski. It's now Ren Sinclair in NXT. Loved her work with RJS at Uprising, the singles, and in the tag that Missa and Maggie had with RJS and Megan. They killed it there. She killed it as CSW's women's champ, matches with Megan and Amina, just great stuff. What really got my attention was last year's Goodest Gold Rumble. She was, I believe, number one or two in the match and stayed for almost the whole thing. And just watching her control the match from the side when the focus was on everybody else, watching her communicate and get people where they need to be, that was awesome to experience. Shazza McKenzie I had on here. Midwest staple all over St. Louis, Glory Pro, Anarchy, Chicago Style, AAW, Dreamwave Uprising, everywhere. From Australia, has held all kinds of gold in Australia. She was the first ever WrestleMax women's champ. She has a win over Gary J at Anarchy. She had a great feud with Laney Luck at Glory Pro, had a great feud with Maggie at CSW. Underrated match, her and Tony Deppen at GCW in St. Louis. Show stealer, incredible match. Go look that up on Triller. I got one more name I want to take like a deep dive, quote unquote, on explain their stuff, but just wanted to rattle off a couple names that were suggested to me on social media when I threw out the post. People, we already mentioned RJS. Brooke Havoc was somebody several people mentioned to me. I probably should have had her on my list anyway. Brooke's been killing it. Fallon Gray is just one of the future bright prospects. She's going to have a great career. Maya World out of Texas, somebody got to keep an eye on. And J-Rod, somebody else a lot of the Uprising fans suggested to me. Everybody loves J-Rod. But the last name I had on my list, another veteran, Nicole Matthews, out of that Pacific Northwest area, current DPW. Is that right? Yeah, current DPW women's champ. Lots of gold up in that Northwest region and up in Canada. She's had incredible matches with like Daniel Makabe. Her and Megan Bain had a match at Defy a couple months ago that was really good. Would love to see her back down here in the Midwest a little bit. The feud she had with Danny Luna at Prestige and DPW is incredible stuff. That wraps up my list, DB. I don't know if you had any more, but would love feedback, from that Marks Mafia. What do you think? Who are people you have your eyes on? Let us know. Throw them in the comments. Throw them on Facebook. There's so much talent out there. Obviously, we can't name off everybody. We'd be here all night just doing that, dudes naming names game of, oh, hey, how about this person? But yeah, that wraps up my list for this.
All right. Yeah, but that's going to do it for the Dropkick discussion of the week. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you guys for being interactive with us, talking with us through this on YouTube and Facebook. And thank everybody for checking out the podcast. Before we go home, let's hear a word from the boss man at Sportswire Radio, Tom Bryce.
This is the Reverend Tom Bryce, owner of Sportswire Radio. You're listening to the Sit Down Marks podcast with Primo, DB, and Dylan, right here on Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station where all music wrestling matters.
That's right.
All right. I want to thank Tom for those nice words there. Remind you to follow us on all socials at Sit Down Marks and also sitdownmarks.com. I want to also remind you that a brand new DB's Territory Treasures is out now, where I talk about senior referee Jim Crockett Promotions referee Tommy Young. So go check that out if you're interested in hearing about stuff from the old days. Want to remind you to join. We do have a Discord. Hit us up on any of those social media, and we can get you that Discord. If you want to come talk a little wrestling with us, we get you the link to the Discord. Primo's got an Etsy store where he makes all kind of wrestling gadgets, knickknacks, and such.
Wax.
Right, Primo? Anything you want to plug on that?
Yeah, I
Nice
mean,
wax, folks.
that's Darkfire 3D. I 3D print things. I'm open to suggestions. Right now, I got about 11 items in my shop. It is doing pretty steady. So, if you guys want to come on in and buy something, that'd be fine with
What's
me.
the name of the store? They can go look it up.
It's Darkfire 3D.
What's the name of the store if they want to look it up?
Darkfire 3D.
All right, very cool. Want to remind you too, Dreamwave Trick or Treat is coming up on October the 11th.
Yep.
Yeah, Dreamwave coming up. Shannon Thomas, Connor Hopkins for the title. We got the Boogeyman coming in. We got Bushwhacker Luke coming in. Coco Beware coming in.
Cool.
Dijak and Hartenbauer in a Buried Alive match. Like, where else are you going to get that? It's October 11th. Lusa Grottos, Peru, Illinois. DWTix.com, I believe. I should know that for sure by now. Yeah, don't miss it. We want to see you there.
Absolutely. DW takes us there on screen right now. In fact, if y'all want to take a
There
look
we
at
go.
that.
And also, too, Rising Star Battle Royal. Come out early if you're coming to the show to see the Rising Stars of Dreamwave Wrestling and Dreamwave Prelude. See who's going to win that Battle Royal and try to move themselves up in that Dreamwave Wrestling ladder. Real quick, Dylan, you got any shows this weekend, man? Where you headed?
Yes, sir. It is the finale of the 2025 St. Louis Anarchy season. Last show until March. You got to be there. It is the Mega Bowl. Break this down real quick. So Anarchy has two champions. They got the Destination Champion. They got the Gateway Heritage Champion. Each champion picks a team. Whichever team wins, that title is like the main title for the following season, and everybody on that team gets a title shot. So, like, the champ can't pick, like, too great of people or he might lose the title. But he also wants to stay the top champ. So he has to pick, he can't just pick the up-and-coming rookies. He's got to have some meat on that team. This year, Matt Fitchett captaining the Destination title, or the Gateway Heritage Championship, Fitchett's got Aaron Williams, Jeremy Wyatt, Shaza McKenzie, and a returning Christian Rolls. Old Evil back at Spalding. I can't wait. They're taking on the Warhorse team of course, Warhorse, Lenny Mephisto, Camaro Jackson, Ken Broadway, and again, the returning Connor Hopkins. Got Rose and Hopkins back on opposite sides. I cannot wait for that. The IWTV tag titles are going to be on the line. Jaden Newman and Jamison Shook coming up from Chattanooga, defending against Raheem De La Suede and Kenny Alfonso.
Nice.
Suede and Kenny had a technically, I guess, officially a best-of-3 series. And then after they wrapped up that, they have been teaming up together the last couple months. Got a couple big wins, challenging for the gold. Match I have been begging to see for a couple years now. We're finally getting it. Billy Starks comes home to Anarchy, taking on Anakin Murphy, returning from his injury. They're going to tear it down. We got Tommy Davis, Davey Vega, Laney Luck, Jake Bosch. First-time singles match at Anarchy, Gary J versus Mad Dog Connolly. Like I said, it's the last show until March. You got to show up to Anarchy on Friday night. Then Revolver's back in Texas this week. They have a vacant title, I believe. It's going to be KJ Orso, the former Fuego del Sol, taking on a Brick Savage for that title. TWE's back in Chattanooga. Tommy Davis versus Casey Owens, match I've been begging to see for a while. Gary J versus Tank. Two vets going at it. They're still rolling out the card for that show. And then wrapping up, expect the unexpected. ETU is back up in the Northeast on Sunday. Mike Santana, maybe the future TNA champ, but he's the current Key to the East champ at ETU. He's defending against Big Josh Bishop. They're going to tear it down. Triple threat match for the tag titles. Kellionaires Club defending against Latinos Most Wanted and Bang & Matthews. Got a couple Midwest boys making their way up there. Show stealer in my book, Billy Starks versus Marcus Mathers. There have been two of the faces of ETU. They're going to put on a clinic. Alec Price, Ken Broadway, some bad blood there. Deep card for ETU. They always kill it. Check those out. That is all in my preview this week. That will probably be out Thursday night, knock on wood. Check my Twitter at DHagerJ15, DHAGERJ15. Whenever it's posted, probably Thursday night, it will be pinned to the top of the page. Check that out there.
I want to remind you that the first 3 episodes of Dreamwave Prelude showcasing the stars of tomorrow in Dreamwave Wrestling is out right now on sitdownmarks.com. So make sure you go check that out and give us a comment, like, subscribe. Let us know what you like there, and maybe what we can improve on and that kind of stuff. But so what's coming up next? Well, we're going to finish up September tonight, and then October we're going to have a new episode of Cheap Pops. We're also going to have another episode of Territory Treasure, and we're going to be talking about scary gimmicks in wrestling, just as a whole. We're also going to be talking about who's had the best 2025 so far. Who's the top 5 that's had the best of 2025? So we'll be talking about that later too, as a wrestler. And then we'll be dropping another episode of Prelude in early November. So yeah, it's quite an interesting episode we had today. We had some little internet issues. Our software wasn't wanting to work right. So if you stay with us through all that, really appreciate it. So thanks everybody for watching on YouTube and Facebook, and thank everybody for listening on all those podcast platforms out there and sportswireradio.org. That's going to do it for us today. For Dylan, the Primo, and myself, I am the Dirty Bird DB. We'll see you guys next time. If you're watching right now on YouTube and Facebook, hang out as we look at an old wrestling poster from back in the day and basically laugh about it. There you go. All right. See you guys next time. Keep spreading the good word of wrestling. I walk for miles inside this pit of danger.
Oh. Fun fact, I did his entrance today, actually. WWE Vault, Classic Vault, or whatever they're calling it. They're playing, they had a live marathon of WWE WrestleMania matches. And they had him versus Umanga, as William Regal calls him.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did it. So I did the whole machine gun in my bedroom. So yeah.
Great. All right, boys. What you're looking at is 2005 New Year's Revolution, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Here's some of the matches. I actually just watched this because I've been kind of watching 2004. I'm moved on 2005 now, but this one was like in January, like right before the Rumble. Eugene and Regal were the tag champs.
Yeah.
Trish beat Lita for the women's title. Shelton Benjamin was the Intercontinental Champion. Muhammad Hassan beat Jerry Lawler on this card. Kane beat Snitsky. And then Triple H won the Elimination Chamber match with Shawn Michaels as the referee.
Yeah. Yeah. This was one of, to get real nerdy, this is like right around the time they quit doing VHS tapes and only doing DVD. So this was one of the very first WWE DVDs I had.
Yeah.
This is a snake bit pay-per-view. You said you watched it recently, DB, so you might know this, but you said Eugene's the tag champs. He blows out his knee in that opening match.
Yeah.
The very next match is Trish and Lita women's title. Lita, I think it's her knee, maybe again, same thing.
Yeah.
Hurts her knee. Maven's challenging for the IC title. Like you mentioned, Muhammad Hassan, and like how can we forget the pull chicken match that has like Hurricane and Rosie and Christy Hemme and Stacy Keibler. Like that's why we spend our money there. Watch them play chicken in the pool.
Yeah. There you go.